So the drug and gas deal is back on the table. Yes, that drug and gas deal that was signed over 9 years ago by the Prime Minister at the time, Dr. Keith Rowley, and the Venezuelan government. And we saw the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago this week, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar. She was in America and she had a very busy week from Washington, D.C., attending the United Nations Assembly, General Assembly, and she also won the Caribbean Global Leader People's Choice Award. So a very, very busy week. But what dominated the end of the week was the drug and gas deal being back on the table. And this is something that we want to go more in depth in. And what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be inviting people from Trinidad and Tobago, whether you're on the side of this Prime Minister or not, to have a conversation tonight. We are going live at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we want to have a debate, whether you agree with the Prime Minister or not, just to come along and share your opinion, especially on this drug and gas deal being back on the table. We want to just break it down and talk about the pros and the cons and what is really going on. Why is the drug and gas deal back on the table? One thing I must say, for those who are not into following politics and know about geopolitics, this can seem very, very confusing. Trust me, like, I'm someone that follow politics on the world stage every single day, and this at times is just like confusing to me, because the drug and gas deal, one day the drug and gas deal is on, the next day the drug and gas deal is off. One day we're talking about Venezuela and we're talking about drug trafficking in Venezuela. We are describing a leader in Venezuela as a international crime boss. And then another day we're talking about signing multilateral agreement, signing agreement with that same leader in Venezuela, the same leader that there's a $50 million bounty on him. This is confusing. But the thing is, when you know about geopolitics, when you follow geopolitics and you know what is going on across the world, you would realize that, look, this that is going on now has nothing to do with Trinidad and Tobago, nothing to do with Guyana, nothing to do with Venezuela. This is 100% about oil. That is what it's all about. It is all about oil, because one thing that three countries have in common, when you look at Trinidad, oil, Venezuela, oil, Guyana, oil, that is what these three players have in common. They are rich in oil and natural gas. And the difference now between Venezuela and, say, a Guyana and a Trinidad and Tobago is that in Trinidad and Tobago, the oil is not necessarily controlled by the local government. Like when you see Trinidad and you see Guyana, and we saw this last year with the ExxonMobil deal in Guyana, and people are questioning the deal, that the resources, they are in Guyana, the resources are in Trinidad, but the people who dictate the deal is not those governments. The people that dictate the deals, they are like ExxonMobil or the American government. The difference now is that in Venezuela, oil and natural gas is a national resource, and the government is the one that dictate the terms and condition in Venezuela, and not the big oil companies or not the American government. And we have seen this over the years. When countries with natural resources try to come and to take charge of their own natural resources, they are instantly termed as illegitimate government. So we have seen that over the years, over the decades. We saw the same thing that happened in Zimbabwe when the government of Zimbabwe 20, 30 years ago stood up and wanted back their country. That government was deemed illegitimate. So this is what we're seeing happening right now. We see a government in Trinidad and Tobago, we see a government in Guyana who the control of their natural resources is not dictated by them. It's mostly dictated by the big oil company, the ExxonMobil, the Shell, and the American government. So the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, she recently got back to Trinidad after a busy week in America, from attending the United Nations General Assembly, from receiving the Caribbean Global People's Choice Award, and also she was doing a lot in America. The meeting with Marco Rubio in Washington, D.C. So she's back in Trinidad and Tobago, and her first media interview after being back was on Friday. So this is what the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago had to say.
So timelines, when could that happen, and how long are we expected to get the license for?
Soon. Well, I can tell you soon. No date time frame was given, but I think we both understood the urgency of the matter. So that is one step in a two-step process that we have to go through. The second step would be our license with Venezuela. I am told that we had a 30-year license from Venezuela, but of course, given all that has transpired, we will have some more negotiations with Venezuela. Shell is involved in that project, and indeed I'm meeting Mr. Lomax from Shell in a short while to see what progress they have made. Before this happened with the United States, Shell had gone to Venezuela. They had discussions with Madam Delcy about the license, and I want to get updates from him as well, because Shell will have to speak with officials in Venezuela. How soon, I can't tell you.
Have you made any official contact with the Venezuelan government
I
since?
have not, but I'm sure some of our officials may have done, so I am not sure. I got home at whatever hour on Wednesday night. Yesterday I had jet lag, so I have contacted most everybody, catching up on my mails or my instructions to the cabinet ministers. So no, I have not reached out officially, but there have been unofficial reaching out by members of our team.
Do you plan to reach out officially?
Not at this point in time. I will let our officials make the first, reach out, if that's the words we are using, yes.
Given the back and forth between this country and Venezuela recently, do you believe there will be a willingness from President Maduro to meet with you or anybody from the government?
First of all, I don't know. I think sometimes you all, some members of the media misconstrue or misunderstand, or deliberately misconstrue and misunderstand. What is it back and forth with Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela? I have repeatedly said we stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela. We have no intention of putting boots on the ground in Venezuela, or putting soldiers, or putting weapons, nothing of the sort. And I said we stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela, and therefore my plan and what I'm pushing and really pushing hard is against the criminals, the narco-traffickers, the human traffickers, the gun runners, the criminals. So we have nothing against the people of Venezuela. I have repeatedly said we stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela. So this back and forward, I think, is being created as a false narrative that we have, I cuss them up or they cuss me up. No. I think one gentleman said certain things that people have personalities. One, I can't remember his name now, had said something about me. And you all asked me about it. I'm not bothered. People have different opinions. But again, I repeat, we stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela. This project will benefit Venezuela. It will benefit the USA, and it will benefit Trinidad and Tobago. So all around, all three parties stand to benefit should this go through. So we take that next step one day at a time.
And do you recognize Nicolas Maduro as president of Venezuela?
That question does not arise with the greatest of respect.
If there's to be a government-to-government negotiation.
Darius asked me that last Wednesday night. Question does not arise. Can you ask me another one, please?
I mean, the question arises in the sense that you all would have backed Juan Guaido in the past.
You do not, it does not arise from me. What, are you going to force me to answer you?
That's all.
Can you
appoint an ambassador to Venezuela anytime soon?
Certainly, we are in the process. In fact, today, we have already appointed Dr. Neil Parson to PRUN in New York. Today we should have, I don't know if it's come through with the instruments, to appoint Chandradat Singh to India, and the one for Jamaica, former Industrial Court Judge Deborah Felix, to be appointed for Jamaica, and we are going one day at a time, step by step.
Prime Minister President Trump has announced on social media a boat loaded with enough drugs to kill 20 to 50,000 people was stopped early this morning off the coast of Venezuela from entering American territory. You have been consistent in your administration's support for the U.S. military action against what they say are narco terrorists from Venezuela. That continues?
I'm sorry, I missed the last part.
There's no change in your support. Let's say, for example, this action
US
today.
Intervention. Yeah, we remain in support of the intervention by the United States. In fact, since that has happened, You would have seen that the amount of murders in my own country has fallen, the numbers. That might be partly because of that. And the other part would be, of course, the state of emergency that we have in place, which has not disrupted lives except the lives of criminals. Am I in support? Yes, I remain in support of the U.S. intervention in the region. Criminals are criminals. And we have to wipe out criminals, as I see. Violently, I had said it. So, yes, we are in support. Unless I have evidence to the contrary, that something is wrong, I have no such evidence. People are saying no due process, no law, whatever. The United States is a sovereign country, and they're free to exercise their sovereignty in matters that they deem fit. I cannot intervene. I have no evidence otherwise. I can only go on the basis of what has been shared, that we are all engaged in the battle against the narco-traffickers, the human traffickers, and the gun runners. Can I thank you all very much?
And Budget Day will be on?
Budget Day very soon. Goodbye. Thank you.
That was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And as I said, this have little or nothing to do with Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana and pretty much Venezuela. The American government could not care less about these three countries. What is at stake right now is the natural resources from Venezuela. Venezuela is sitting on a lot of natural gas and oil. And this is what we're talking about. And what I like about this Trump administration is that this Trump administration is not afraid to be a bully in public. Because over the years, whenever we talk about geopolitics, a lot of it is clouded in like conspiracy. And when you talk about stuff like this, people call you like a conspiracy theorist, and people don't really take value in what you're saying. But what I love about this Trump administration is that they're coming out and they're telling you, like, look, we want your resources and we're going to take it with or without you. And this is obvious now with this whole OFAC license. And what is OFAC?
The Office of Foreign Assets Control is a financial intelligence and enforcement agency of the United States Treasury Department. It administers and enforces economic and trade sanctions in support of U.S. national security and foreign policy objectives.
So OFAC is the acronym for Office of Foreign Assets Control. That is OFAC, and it's just as what it says, Office of Foreign Asset Control. So just imagine having an office in your federal government to control assets, not of your own country, but control assets of other people's country. And this thing is just, it sounds like something coming out of a sci-fi movie, but this is real. But a lot of us, we don't really pay attention, even when it's staring us right in front of our eyes. And one other thing I must say, like I've been saying this for a long time, but a lot of our governments within the Caribbean and within Africa, they get a lot of blame, because we have seen over the years, especially in Africa, with African countries that are rich in natural resources, and we see foreign companies, we see companies from France, we see companies from America, companies from England go in and take all of these resources, and we see these African countries, still third world countries, people starving to death, even though they have so much natural resources. And us as like uninformed onlookers, and we're looking and we're blaming the government of those countries. We're blaming the wrong people when there are organizations like this. Just imagine Office of Foreign Asset Control, and America is not the only one with an with a federal office like this. And this is not just about oil. We saw it with bauxite in Jamaica. We saw communities that billions of US dollars worth of bauxite came out of those communities. We saw companies pack up and leave, and you go to Jamaica today and these communities are like in rubble, even though like all the natural resources came out of it. We saw, I spoke about it last year also with Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. So Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, they supply over 75% of the world's chocolate. And the government came together. The government of Ghana and the government of Côte d'Ivoire, they came together to sign a chocolate agreement where all the European companies that would come would go to Africa and would purchase the chocolate for like dirt cheap and go and make millions of dollars on it. And these two African governments decided that, look, we are going to stand up. We are taking our own natural resources now, and we are going to make money from our natural resources to feed our people. So this is what is happening with this whole deal. As I said, this have nothing to do with Trinidad and Tobago, nothing to do with Guyana, and literally nothing to do with Venezuela. This is all about natural resources. Because of the oil and natural gas in Guyana today, we're still having a lot of questions. A lot of Guyanese have questions today about the value of the deal that was signed with ExxonMobil. How much money are Guyanese really getting from that deal? And we have had conversation decades with Trinidad and Tobago. Why wasn't Trinidad and Tobago like a Dubai, a Singapore? Trinidad and Tobago found oil over 150 years now. Oil exploration started in Trinidad and Tobago. And yes, you can argue that Trinidad and Tobago is more industrialized and more developed than most of the other Caribbean islands. But the amount of oil that was found in Trinidad and Tobago, it's arguable that Trinidad and Tobago should have already been a Dubai, should have already been a Singapore in terms of development. And over the years, they talk about corruption in the government and all of that. But at the same time, excusing like these foreign governments that have organization like a OFAC that will come in and they will get your resources. So just imagine for every dollar that they're making out of the oil, if you're only getting 10 cents. Yes, you can see trillions of dollars worth of oil coming out of your country. But if you're getting like 10% of that money, then your natural resources is not really helping your people. We're seeing the big oil giants having more capital than most countries in the world, while the countries where these natural resources coming from, like over time, when the natural resources dry up, these countries go back to like third world country and they're struggling to survive. And that is what we're seeing happening now, right in front of our eyes. So as I said, I am happy for the Trump administration, if not for one thing, is the transparency in which they operate in. Because whenever these things happen in the past, we hear about them after. When they went into Haiti and took all the gold from the bank, the central bank in Haiti, most of us did not know until years after. And years after, all the gold from the bank in Haiti not returned. All of Haiti's natural resources that have been used up, and Haiti is poor and in turmoil. And we in the Caribbean look at them and we blame the government, we blame everybody but the people who go in and take out the natural resources. So guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this one. What do you think about this Dragon gas deal back on the table? Do you think that this is really going to benefit Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, and America, as the Prime Minister is saying? Or is this mostly a benefit to America? Is America going to get like 80% of the wealth from this money, from this oil, and Venezuela and Trinidad end up splitting at 20%? Let me know in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.